All right. Good evening. I'm going to call our regular Board of Education meeting for April 2025 to order. And we always start with the resuscitation of the vision statement. Every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. Tonight, before our public input, we will be the newly elected board members will take their oaths of office, and then we will also hold election of officers. I'm gonna turn it over to Vice President Pearson. Congratulations, fellow board members. We'll now move into the election of officers. Vice President Pearson, I think it's just easier if you do this part. Thank you.
Okay, so we will have the nominations for president. So each board member has their ballots at their desk. We will ask for nominations, then we will close nominations, and then we will do the ballots. So are there any nominations for the office of president? Okay, Savian. Okay. So we have a nomination for board member Nichols. Any other nominations? Okay. Board member Nichols, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. So board member Nichols has accepted the nominations, and here no further nominations. Nominations for the office of president are closed, and the following people are nominated. Nichelle Nichols, please cast your votes. Yeah. Okay, all nominations have been collected, and Jesse, let us know.
Nichelle Nichols has been elected president for the 25-26 school year.
Congratulations.
All right, next we will take nominations for the office of vice president. Are there any nominations for the office of vice president? Board member Mosner Feltham.
I nominate Maya Pearson.
All right, Maya Pearson has been nominated. Are there any further nominations? All right, hearing none. Board member Pearson, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
All right. At this time, we will cast our ballots for Maya Pearson as vice president.
Maya Pearson has been elected vice president for the 25-26 school year.
Thank you all.
Next, we'll take nominations for the role of treasurer. Board member Muldrow.
I'd like to nominate board member Blair Mosner Feltham.
Are there any other nominations for the role of treasurer? All right, seeing none. Board member Mosner Feltham, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
All right, please cast your ballots for Blair Mosner Feltham for treasurer.
Blair has been elected treasurer for the 25-26 school year.
Next, we'll accept nominations for the role of clerk. Board member Vandermeulen. Are there any other nominations? All right, nominations are closed. Board member Muldrow, do you accept the nomination?
I do.
All right, please cast your votes.
Ollie Muldrow has been elected clerk for the 25-26 school year.
All right. Thank you to our board colleagues for the nominations and for the votes. We will now move into a moment of remembrance, and Vice President Pearson will do us the honors.
We'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Ken Alexander. Mr. Ken, who was a volunteer at Hawthorne Elementary. Mr. Ken is remembered as someone who was a beloved member of our school community, working directly with students in classrooms, maintaining our community garden, and touching countless lives in the process. Mr. Ken's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students, staff, and families in the Hawthorne community, and we remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence to honor Ken Alexander. Thank you.
Before we move into public input, I just realized that I did not do a motion to appoint the Secretary of the Board of Education. So I'm going to come back to that. I move that the Board of Education appoint Natalie Rue to the position of Secretary of the Board of Education.
Second, Maya.
Megan, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, for tonight's public input, there were written statements submitted for this meeting. There were 5 written statements submitted for this meeting, 3 in support of reinstating staff in East Side schools and modifying policy 3450 to reduce max class size. 1 is opposed to discrimination against a disabled employee, and 1 was in support of considering class size as a priority and reallocating staff back to schools in the fall. For those who have registered to speak, do we have 1 person online? We'll start with that person. And then I think we have 7 registered speakers for in person tonight.
Our online speaker is Megan Ross.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Megan Ross, and I'm a parent and community member. I'm here to advocate for targeted adjustment to MMSD's transportation policy that would significantly improve safety and school access for some of our youngest and most vulnerable students. Currently, MMSD's transportation eligibility is based on distance, but distance alone does not account for real exposure risk, particularly when students must cross high-volume roads like Milwaukee Street, which carries over 10,000 vehicles per day. The City of Madison currently pays for a crossing guard at Milwaukee and Meadowlark and recently upgraded that crossing with a rapid rectangular flashing beacon to warn drivers with flashing yellow lights. These are important safety improvements. However, Milwaukee Street remains uncontrolled crossing. Even with these measures in place, the volume of traffic creates unavoidable daily exposure, frequent vehicle interactions continue to increase the risk of driver error or pedestrian misjudgment. Through partnership with a local community organization, families at the Carmenta Transitional Shelter have previously been provided with temporary transportation supports, and the results were clear. When reliable transportation was available, students' attendance improved and barriers to consistent school participation were reduced. We know this approach works, and we're asking to build sustainable district-supported solutions to move forward. I'm submitting a formal proposal asking to expand the existing hazardous route exceptions to include students who must cross arterial roads with fully protected crossings, even if they live within 1.5 miles of the school. Transportation services would continue to be provided only upon family request, ensuring that resources are managed based on need. I'm also recommending a pilot implementation at Kennedy Elementary for the 2025-2026 school year to immediately address the most urgent needs while gathering data to guide just district-wide policy improvements. District-wide, the number of students who would qualify under this adjustment would be modest, estimated between 50 and 200 students total, making this a focused, manageable improvement rather than a broad expansion. While the Carmenta shelter is pressing example today, arterial crossing exposure will continue to affect students across Madison long after current facilities change. The proposal is building smarter, safer system when measured on risks, not just distance on a map. This adjustment aligns with MMSD's commitment to student safety, equity, and educational opportunity. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. All right, our first speaker is Grace Van Berkel, and then following will be Evelyn Van Berkel. And Grace,
Hi.
welcome. Do you have a minute clock up here on the podium? You'll see a little black box. When it gets to about 30 seconds, that green light will turn yellow, and then the red light comes on when the 3 minutes have expired. If you're still finishing a thought, if you could do that in just a few seconds, that would be great.
Sounds good. Thank you. Members of the board, Dr. Gothard, thank you. My name is Grace Van Berkel. I am a parent of 3 MMSD students, kindergarten through 6th grade. I am a longtime volunteer in MMSD since before my kids were in school, and I am the early childhood special ed assistant at Lapham. And so, like all this is to say, is like you all, I'm here for the kids. And it's with these experiences that I want to make sure we are properly staffing our schools and also have the right class sizes for our kids. So I urge you to take up policy 3450 to reduce max class sizes and also pass board member Vandermeulen's budget amendments 1 through 5 that would reinstate surplus staff at our East neighborhood schools as well as La Follette and West. I think it's especially urgent that we not particularly have 27 second and third graders in one classroom because that's also including teachers. You have about 30 people in one classroom. It's just too many, especially since students and staff have struggled through a global pandemic. I think it's especially urgent for our children with IEPs. So again, I just urge you to look at policy 3450, particularly the second and third grade class sizes, but absolutely not limited to. And I also urge you to pass board member Vandermeulen's budget amendments that would reinstate surplus staff at our 4 East neighborhood schools, West and La Follette. And thank you for your time.
Hello. My name is Evelyn and I go to O'Keefe Middle School. I would like to tell you a story from a perspective of a kid who's in a grade whose teacher was surplus. She told me that there were so many kids in her classroom and not enough chairs that her teacher was hoping a few kids are absent, but we don't want our friends not to go to school. We need enough teachers and chairs for all our friends in the Madison School District. We need to stop surplusing our teachers, and we need your support in that. Thank you for your time.
Next up is Leland Pan, and then following will be Catherine Howley.
Thank you. Here to speak on some of the most pressing things from MTI's perspective for the remainder of the school year. Want to update you about what we've discussed at our board of directors meeting and our United Rep Council. First of all, we had a successful event we co-sponsored on universal free meals, and thank you to Meyer Pearson for attending and others that followed it online. And then at the most recent URC meeting, we focused on three main areas of sort of most pressing concerns. One being allocation, which we've already heard from community members about. And again, just emphasizing a need for transparency on the allocation process to ensure that we can be proper collaborators on that. Second being, full cost of living adjustment and no negative changes to our healthcare costs. And third, and one I want to spend the most time on today, is on supporting school-based response plans in defense of communities targeted by immigration officials. The reason why I want to talk about this, one, is because there's organizing happening in the Madison community on immigrant rights right now as we speak. Much of it driven by our students here at MMSD. Obviously, our staff on the front lines want to defend our students and their communities, and also recognize that our staff are directly affected by this, right? I see the line get closer and closer to even a person in a relative position of privilege as myself, right? Like first it's undocumented people, then it's people with green cards who are politically active. Well, that was my parents until a few years ago, right? And then it's birthright citizenship. Well, that's me, right? So the line is coming at me very quickly, and I want to be able to stand in solidarity with the broader community. And I think that this district has a lot of policies on paper to support immigrant communities, but I think we've taken a very cautious approach in how we talk about it in order to not bring undue attention to communities at risk. But I think what is happening is that, frankly, they're coming for us regardless, right? There's no hiding from this, and we also need to enable, those of us who need to take a step back to do that, but also those of us who want to take a step forward to organize to fight need to be allowed to do so. I have seen efforts to provide support for immigrant communities be shut down by building administration, and I believe that it's out of caution and out of desire to protect our communities. But our students are already planning stuff. We want to be in solidarity with them, and we're gonna have to resist fascism by fighting. So we're gonna have to fight that together and fight that up front, and there's no hiding from it. So I want to make sure that y'all are checking in with your administration and making sure the message being sent to staff isn't one that is unintentionally demobilizing efforts and discouraging communities who are being targeted right now. Thank you.
Good evening. Hello, members of the Board of Education, Dr. Gothard. My name is Catherine Howley, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Lapham Marquette Parent-Teacher Group, as well as a parent of a first grader with an IEP. We want to first thank the board for your consideration on our requests. We understand that the allocation process is an iterative and sometimes messy one, and we want to thank you for hearing from folks within the school, within our building, all of them. Second, we want to thank Board Member Vandermeulen for standing up with this topic of allocations and your very student-focused reasoning listed with it. That was lovely. Lastly, I want to reiterate our request. The rollbacks that are being presented next month and voted on are so certainly necessary and will point us in the right direction. The revision of proposed policy 3450 is where we can have a lasting and sustaining gain for these student-first efforts that are coming forward. We're requesting that the max number of students allowed in second to third grade classes be reduced from 28 to be more in line with the maximums of kindergarten and first grade of 23 students per class. We're also requesting that across all grades, classroom maximums be kept at 90% until the start of the school year, so that maximums can actually mean something and be maximums and not starting points. The unnecessary surplusing so early in the season breaks a really strong community that we work hard year over year to build. We ask too much of our teachers to work in wildly hot, nearly inhabitable buildings with overcrowded classrooms and these constant reductions of classroom-facing assistants. Please follow your fellow board member and vote to reinstate the surplus staff and revise board policy 3450. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Michael Jones, and then following will be Brian McMahon, or McMahon, sorry.
Good evening. The last month, I and other members have been meeting with student organizers on preparing for action on May 1st and 2nd. I believe we've communicated as such to you. And I wanted to start there because it has been such an honor and a privilege to see students, especially some of our youngest and most vulnerable populations, not stand idly by and actually speak up to speak truth to power and demonstrate that, and for staff to support them, which is why I was disappointed when I was at a planning meeting last week and I heard about a staffer being pulled into an administrator's office and being threatened with retaliation for allowing students to put up flyers in the school that day. And just so you know, that teacher is actually on the retirement leaving list that comes across. So they won't be here next year. But what do we say to the staffer that comes into that space next year on what we stand for? Because they weren't here for all the statements that have been going around. I understand that you as district leaders are constrained by the structures and the realities in terms of serving our community and providing, serving everyone in our community, those who agree with us and those who don't agree with us. And sometimes the words can only take you so far, which is why on behalf of my union and behalf of multiple communities, we are asking for our district to provide action through empowering each school building to provide their own plan in cases of ICE or other government entities trying to enter the building. Top-down management and approaches and messages might have worked in 2017. I was in a building when that was happening, but they're not aligned with the reality of 2025. Not while judges are being arrested, children and adults are being deported without due process, and dissenters are being disappeared on the streets in America. We need buildings to have community plans and approaches to unique situations within our neighborhoods and within our school buildings. And we need that to start from the ground up, not from the top down. Because if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? Are we going to do it when we have an autism registry that's being proposed? Are we going to do it when we have an LGBTQIA registry, which is already being proposed? Are we going to have it when we have a registry of dissenters weaponized by a list of dissenters that's being compiled by a weaponized Federal Bureau of Investigation? A statement must be about planning and consent to action. Otherwise, we are nothing more than just the words.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Gothard. My name is Brian McMahon, and I'm the Executive Director of Operation Fresh Start. First, I want to thank you all for your continued partnership and support. Your collaboration is making a real difference in the lives of Madison students, and we're grateful to work alongside you. I'd also like to offer congratulations to newly elected board members Ali Muldrow Nichelle Nichols, and Martha Saravo. And thank you for attending the candidate forum hosted at OFS earlier this year. Your presence and engagement meant a lot to our participants. This year, we're seeing a record number of applicants and referrals from MMSD. Since October 1st, over 120 MMSD students have been referred to their school to pursue a diploma through OFS Legacy Program. 30 MMSD students have already started in our Legacy Program since October 1st, and another 50 are currently scheduled to interview for spots in the coming months. These numbers confirm what we already know. The need for flexible alternative pathways to graduation is more urgent than ever. Students are looking for meaningful opportunities that meet them where they are, and thanks to our strategic partnership, we're helping them find those opportunities. At Operation Fresh Start, students do more than earn a diploma. They also gain real-world experience and industry-recognized credentials that help them build a strong future. Every participant has a chance to earn key credentials like a driver's license and a certified pre-apprenticeship through the Wisconsin's Department of Workforce Development Bureau of Apprenticeship Standards. These credentials are tools that lead to family-sustaining careers and long-term success. And that's what our partnership is all about. It's about ensuring Madison's young people are not just graduating, but graduating ready for what's next. As we look to the future, OFS is excited to explore ways we can expand our work so we can reach even more students who are ready for a second chance and strong start. So thank you again for your commitment to every student's success. We're proud to be in this work with you, and we look forward to what more we can accomplish together. Thank you.
Our final speaker tonight is Calvin Fisher. Calvin's coming. He's gone. Oh, okay. Okay, that'll be fine. Although Calvin Fisher left, they did write in their subject that they would have spoken about allocation amendments. And who is the other speaker? Okay. Should we get a registration form? Okay. And then there is one person who did not wish to speak, who also wanted to have the subject of traffic congestion, speed, and safety of students as a topic. What was that? It didn't say location. If you can hold just one moment.
Yeah.
All right, we have Emily Miller.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I want to just begin by thanking all of you, especially Superintendent Gothard and President Nichols, for your pledging MMSD support of all students, despite recent government directives to public schools to limit their DEI work. It means a lot knowing that we work in a district which welcomes and centers all students. So thank you. I understand that in the current climate, it may seem less urgent to focus on other areas of school design, but I'm here just to urge us to begin seriously rethinking our school calendar so that we can indeed, as you wrote in your letter, provide students the support they need to succeed and thrive. Since speaking before you last month, I did conduct a brief survey among my colleagues at West High the 2 days before spring break. And I won't go into all the details, but some of the broad trends that were evident was number one, at the high school level, a desire for fewer interruptions in instructional time. 87 of the respondents indicated that the reduced instructional time has a negative impact on student learning. 68% responded that full staff only days should be limited to 3 to 4 during the school year. 78% responded that it's very important or somewhat important to restore consistent meeting time for professional collaboration with teams in the form of perhaps either an hour late start, early release, or something else. 58% want this collaboration to happen on a weekly basis. A desire for this weekly time was especially obvious among those in the special education department. One CC teacher wrote that the loss of weekly PCT has negatively impacted the segment of our special education department that works with our students with the highest needs, the most complex support needs, and that this subset of staff really need to collaborate on a weekly basis to be able to pivot and support the needs of those students. And this year has been particularly challenging as we lost those weekly times with students. I just will skip ahead. One of my colleagues in science did the calculations and found that this year we have only 163 instructional days spread over 281 calendar days, which averages to 4.06 days a week. He says, I can feel it. We all can. Every time we come back from a 3 or 4 day break, we have to recalibrate with the students. Maybe we do want to redesign our education system so that 4.06 days a week is the goal, but that means rethinking how we do education. And as long as we are a district that is advocating for broader integration of AP curriculum and exams, the 4 days a week is not sufficient to adequately prepare students. One of my colleagues wrote, if we're serious about giving our students access to AP classes and the opportunity to succeed, then we need to put a stop to chipping away at instructional days. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all of our speakers. I'm now going to move us through our agenda. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting dated March 17th, 2020.
Second, Maya.
Any corrections, comments, or questions on the minutes? All right, seeing none. Megan, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? You were aye. Okay. Thank you. Those are approved unanimously. All right, for the board president's announcements. Congratulations to our students who participated in this year's statewide career and technical student organization leadership conferences. MMSD students earned 12 state championships and 48 national level qualifications. Yes, students from Robert M. La Follette, Bell Phillips Memorial, and West High schools earned high honors across the board, and La Follette's DECA and eSport teams earned major awards, including a state championship title in esports. Our E students who secured the top 3 awards in the CEOs of Tomorrow Incubator program. CEOs of Tomorrow provides programs and tools that teach young people about social entrepreneurship. And our 26 memorial athletes who have signed college commitments on decision day. This is the first of our 4 comprehensive schools signing days.
So I'd like to say thank you to the City of Madison for celebrating Arbor Day with approximately 100 of our LVM students. Not only did our learners help plant trees, they had an opportunity to engage with the Madison Streets and Urban Forestry Division team. Thank you also to our Strategic Framework Committee for continuing to provide their input as we develop our next plan for the future. We appreciate the time that they have committed and look forward to the work ahead.
And lastly, in tonight's consent agenda, the board would like to acknowledge and thank all individuals and organizations that have donated to the district, especially the Roots and Wings Foundation, which is providing grants totaling $960,000 to MMSD. $390,000 over the next 3 years will support MMSD in providing quality connections with our birth to age 3 students and families and help uplift early learning. And then $570,000 over the next 3 years will support MMSD in providing quality connections with our birth to age 3 students and families to help uplift. I thought one of those was a 4K, but okay. Yes, also birth to age 3. And I'll pass it over to the super for his announcement.
Good evening. Thank you, President Nichols, members of the board, staff, and community. Thank you for this opportunity. A few updates this month. Principal and teachers were honored by the Herb Cole Educational Foundation. The Lakeview Elementary Principal, Nu Vang Vu, was named the 2025 Herb Cole Educational Foundation Principal Leader. Ms. Vang Vu is one of 14 principals throughout the state recognized for exceptional leadership, dedication to students, and commitment to educational excellence. She was granted an award of $6,000, and Lakeview received a matching grant of $6,000 to further support student learning and the school's initiatives. In addition, 2 of our teachers were recognized as teaching fellows by the Herb Cole Foundation, Liz Mells from West and Emily Sonneman from East. They were 2 of 200 educators from throughout the state to be honored. Each was awarded a $6,000 grant, as well as a matching $6,000 grant to support their school's teaching and learning initiatives. Next up was our Hmong Dual Language Day. We're deeply committed to fostering an inclusive and equitable learning environment where every student feels valued and empowered. We do this by recognizing and celebrating their rich cultural heritage. Recently, 4 districts across the nation celebrated Hmong Dual Language Day: Fresno, California, Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota, and our very own Madison. MMSD's Hmong Dual Language program is offered at Lakeview and Blackhawk. These programs provide a way for us to embrace and uplift the voices and experiences of our Hmong students and families who are an integral part of our district and community. Next up, something I've talked about a little bit, but I'm excited to give this report. We've made some great progress. Our enrollment strategy work. Our enrollment strategy team came together as part of a multi-day design sprint focused on developing a long-term enrollment strategy for MMSD. You might ask, what does that mean exactly? Well, before we can grow enrollment, we have to stabilize enrollment. We have to understand our enrollment and make sure that we have the operational plan to support the changes that Madison is likely to see in the next several years to come. We engaged in conversations about the future of our schools and explored ideas on how we can align programs with student and family needs, strengthen our district identity and brand, enhance customer service, and ensure sustainable enrollment across the district. Our RAI team is reviewing the ideas and feedback gathered, and we look forward to seeing the outcomes of these sprints. We are excited about this work, which moves us toward our goal of developing a draft enrollment strategy, which will be important to becoming a school district of choice, otherwise known as Destination MMSD. Inspiring our students to innovate. Once again this year, I was transitioning last year and was so fortunate to be here on the day of the Icebreaker event hosted by the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce. Last year's event was incredible, and I definitely was excited for this year's, and it did not disappoint. It was an excellent opportunity to connect with local business and community members and to hear from speakers and their innovative work in agriculture, healthcare, and technology. We want to inspire our students to be those innovators and problem solvers that our world needs. That innovation begins in our classrooms, where we must encourage our learners to ask questions and to take risks so they can make their bold ideas a reality. We need to ensure our students are future ready. And from our career and technical education courses to the arts and everything in between, these opportunities are right here at MMSD. Last week, I attended the Wisconsin Association of School District Administrators spring conference right at the street at the Concourse Hotel. These professional gatherings are valuable places and spaces to learn, connect, reflect, and bring back ideas to our district. The sessions provided timely insights into leadership, enrollment challenges, and strategic innovation, many of which align closely with our work at MMSD. Finally, we have so many talented students across the district, and I want to highlight some work being done by our Crestwood 4th and 5th grade students. Their animated short film has been presented at film festivals across the country, Rhode Island, Minnesota, and right here in Madison. They won the Spirit of Independent Filmmaking Award in Mineral Point. They just wrapped up at the Julian Dubuque International Festival, and next up is a showing in Green Bay. This is one example of the excellent work and creativity that happens every day in MMSD. I'm proud of our students and teachers who support them. Thank you all so much. President Nichols and members of the board, this concludes my report.
Nice. Thank you so much. Do you know if the independent filmmaking, was that a program sponsored in our school for the 4th and 5th graders?
I do not have a lot of information on the International Film Festival, but we.
Oh, okay. It just sounds amazing that we've got young people out there doing film stuff. All right, I love it. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna now report on items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on April 7th, 2025, and turn that over to Chair Muldrow.
Thank you so much, Board President Nichols. At our last instruction work group, we focused on community schools and received our strategic partnership update. In our upcoming instruction work group, we will focus on middle school holistically with an emphasis on middle school math, and we will get an update on early learning, including 4K.
Thank you. Next, we'll report on the items that proceeded through the operations work group held on April 21st, 2025, and I'll turn that over to Chair Castro.
Thank you. Yeah, there's just a long list. Okay, so we had our operations work group on April 21st, 2025, where we received a referendum update, received numbers regarding healthcare and benefits, went through a budget review and priority projects discussion, and then we had second readings for 3 policies, 2 of which we will vote on tonight. Our next meeting is May 12th, 2025, where we will review changes to the upcoming budget. We'll review and identify one-time funding from state and federal sources. We'll take a look at the state budget outlook, which is also being debated on right now in the state legislature. Review ongoing community feedback on the budget, review facilities, upgrades and such, and then just take a look at the May regular board meeting proposed budget and go over amendment processes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, we had no action items that proceeded through the instruction work group, but as Board Member Castro just said, we do have a couple of items that proceeded through our operations work group. So we have a couple of policies tonight. The first one being policy 6071. I move that the Board of Education approve the district fund balance policy 6071 in accordance with the documents prepared for the April 28th, 2025 regular meeting. The policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second, Maya.
Discussion, Member Vandermeulen.
Yes, I understand the need for this procedure and I respect it. I happen to disagree in the issue of transparency. I think it should be 35,000. That's my personal view because I'm not comfortable with anyone reaching into as honest as Bob is, which is amazing, as honest as everyone in finance is, which is wonderful. I just don't feel comfortable with anyone in my pocketbook just saying that, but I respect those who do.
Okay, so thank you for your comments, Board Member Vandermeulen. That's on, we're coming to that policy next. You're fine.
But I got a
Right now, we're on the district's fund balance policy, and the version that's in board docs has moved the minimum up to 12% with a maximum of 17. So we had two opportunities to discuss this revision. And so this is the fund balance one. Any other comments? And then I'll come back to your comments on the next policy. You're just ahead of us. That's all. Board Member Muldrow.
I greatly appreciate the work that's gone into revising this policy because we're already exceeding this policy in terms of the amount of fund balance we currently have. I would like to amend the policy to give us a range of 12 to 18% so that we pass a policy that we're currently within the range of.
Second.
Vice President.
Yeah, I just had a for the discussion. Hey Bob, can you like if you can just speak to us changing that to the 18%, how that affects, but then also will we be in accordance between the 12 and 17 like soon here? Or I guess just the thoughts of just moving it to the 18 and what that might do or not do.
Sure. Increasing to 18% just obviously raises the maximum from 17%. Got a spreadsheet for that. I say that jokingly because Joe always says that. All you finance guys always say you have a spreadsheet for that, which is a compliment. If we would go based on 24-25 budget expenditures, and we're about 17%, if we would increase to 18% in terms of the max, it's about 5.3 million for 1%. But again, this is just a range of what's in the fund balance. So it doesn't have really any fiscal effect other than the range is increased to 18%.
Yeah.
If I could, while Bob's still up there, Vice Chair Pearson. Bob, can you talk just briefly about the different ways that we can manage any overages in our general fund balance as well?
Yeah, there are several. The first would be last year we created Fund 46 that allows us to put money away for the future for facility repairs. The board would have the option to move funds into that fund. I will say the way the law reads on that, it has to sit in that fund for 5 years before it can be withdrawn. That's one way. Another way would be to talk about you're setting aside fund balance dollars for anticipated increases like health insurance or salary. I would say one of the issues in terms of fund balance and what we're looking at now is you could have money set aside for any unexpected changes in the economy, like the conversations going on with the federal government, state level. Turn it up. I'm sorry. I wanted to say Petra's also available, our attorney that deals with policy. I know she was going to tune in. Oh, she's up. So I just wanted to double check that. Other issues in terms of fund balance, in terms of managing the fund balance, is you could designate it for other uses that were expected to be happening. I mentioned facility improvements. They could be done and kept in Fund 10 versus moving to Fund 46. But there are a variety of ways one can manage that maximum.
And the only reason I bring that up, members of the board, is just so you don't, I don't want us to feel like the policy has to be modified every time. If we do have, a fluctuation, I don't anticipate us having 25% in fund balance, but let's say we did, there are other ways for us to manage it too outside within the policy.
Board Member Muldrow.
Yeah, I would just say that for the last few years, we've consistently been outside of our own range, and we've been outside of that range because we've been above our policy's threshold. We've never gone below the minimum of 10% while I've served on this board. I think to inform this policy from a place of integrity means to consider the factors that our superintendent just spoke to. I greatly appreciate you saying that we have to take into consideration the external factors that inform the reality of our budget. And my hope is that our fund balance in the long run lends itself to enough cash flow that we are not engaged in short-term borrowing. And so I do hope in the long run we have that conversation. But given the current kind of tumultuous nature of both our economy and our federal government, I think it's really important that we have flexibility in relationship to our fund balance that really allows for us to withstand unanticipated realities as they impact our budget. And so I appreciate the consideration of my amendment, y'all.
So we have your motion. Yeah, your amendment to increase the maximum to 18%. It's been seconded. Are there other comments or questions?
It would be,
So it,
I'm asking if we can bring it up because right now we're at about 17.5. So we're already above the maximum that we would be passing.
okay, I'll come back to Vice President Pearson and then Board Member Mosner Feltham.
I can support that amendment and would have supported a similar amendment up from there.
I guess then my question is, I support it. It's just what is the mechanism for us to do that amendment? Do we need to come back, Petra, again or are we able to go ahead and approve the policy as is, or do we need to come back and again to look at it? This is our last point of like approving. So I just want to make sure like we don't have to come back again to approve it.
The amendment on the floor.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to come back to approve it.
Sorry, I didn't hear that, Petra.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I was just saying, you can amend it on the floor now and vote to adopt it now. You don't have to come back to vote on the amendment again.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to have that clarifying for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, so Board Member Muldrow has made the motion to amend the policy so that it will change it will keep the minimum at 12% and move the maximum up to 18%. That's already been seconded. So Megan, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, looks like that passed unanimously. Do I need to do anything else? Okay, so now we're gonna go back and back to the main motion. Well, the main motion doesn't have the exact language in it. It just says, I move that the Board of Education approve the district fund balance policy 6071 in accordance with the documents as amended tonight for the April 28th regular meeting.
Second, Maya.
All right. Megan, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All right, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, you want me to suspend the vote real quick?
We're voting in favor of the original motion. Does that undermine the amendment or does that?
No, I just said I just kind of changed the main motion to say as amended tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Did everybody else have an aye on there? Okay, thank you. That passes unanimously. Yes, Board Member Mosner Feltham.
Can I move to go into a 5-minute recess to address a tech issue? I move to go into a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of recess?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, we are going to come back and resume the meeting now. All right, I'm going to pick up where we left off, which is we have one more policy that proceeded through the operations work group that we also need to vote on. So I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase and or contracted services limitations policy number 6244 in accordance with the documents prepared for the April 28th, 2025 regular meeting. The policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second, Maya.
All right, so Board Member Vandermeulen, you had already started some comments on the last motion. Do you want to repeat any of that? Okay.
Incredibly important. Me, I done 35,000.
All right, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Board Member Mosner Feltham.
I have two amendments to the proposal. I didn't just do them separately. So I think for the first one, I would I move to amend this proposal such that uses of the phrase his/her, which appears 3 times in the proposed policy, be changed to the word their.
Second.
Should I give reasoning? Or is it just enough to have?
Saying like in the actual policy?
Yeah, in the actual policy.
Okay.
The proposed policy in board docs today includes the phrase his horror 3 times. And I move to amend this proposal to replace that.
Okay, and I know you did bring that up at the last work group, so.
I'm sorry.
No.
Well as he/she.
Yep, I see that in number 8. Okay, that's been seconded. Okay, should I just take one amendment at a time? Okay. Oh, Board Member Muldrow?
Yeah, I want to support this amendment and I appreciate Board Member Mosner Feltham for proposing this amendment. And I would like to ask that we call the question and vote on it. I'd like to ask that we call the question and vote on this amendment.
Yep, I was getting ready to do that. Megan, if you're following along, we're in the procurement policy, replacing the words his, her, he, or she with their. Your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, that amendment passes. Thank you. Then the second one.
I move to alter the proposed policy where it says 50,000 to go up to 60,000. And my reasoning for that is twofold. One, well, I guess threefold. One, based on our conversations in our operations work group, I understand that the actual rate of inflation between the last time and this time actually put this like between 50 and 60 is my first reason. My second reason is that it gives us a little bit more wiggle room, like maybe the policy will be good for a little longer. And then the third reason is maybe a little bit more philosophical with respectful disagreement to Board Member Vandermeulen. When I think about like what enables our board to make really good choices and really exercise our oversight over the operations of the school district, I don't believe that it tends to be in the consent agenda items. I think that there are other better avenues for our
Second.
Any other comments or discussion? Okay, Board Member Castro?
Yeah, thank you. I would just say, given the data that we saw from the last meeting, breaking down just how many amendments we would have missed on, if by upping it about 30. I don't have the specific cutoff for 60,000, but from a pragmatic lens, I think this makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan, if you're still there, I don't hear any other discussion. So your advisory vote on this amendment to change the policy for all purchases and or contracted services would move in excess of 60,000. Your advisory vote.
Aye.
Okay. All those in favor of this amendment? Aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, thank you. So that's 6-1. All right, so let me go back. So I'm going to go back to the main motion and just insert the word as amended for tonight, right? So the main motion now is I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase and or contracted services limitations number 6244 in accordance with the documents amended for the April or at the April 28th, 2025 regular meeting. The policy will be revised effective immediately.
Second.
All right, Megan, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, and those opposed? All right, that's 6-1. Thank you, that passes. All right, that moves us into our consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in Section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the April 28th, 2025 regular school board meeting exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated, hereby subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second, Maya.
All right, Board Member Muldrow.
I'd like to separate item 1033. I have a conflict of interest and will have to recuse myself from that vote.
Okay, thank you. Any other separations? All right, seeing and hearing none. Megan, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, that passes 7-0. No? Don't I have to go back to 10 point? I have to read that one, right? The donation. All right, on item number 10.33, I move that the Board of Education accept the 3-year grant donation from the Roots and Wings Foundation. It is a total donation of $570,000 split into 3 payments as follows. $180,000 for 2025, $190,000 for 2026, and $200,000 for 2027 to support MMSD to provide quality 4K programming and uplift early learning programming in our community.
Second, Maya Pearson.
Okay, Board Member Mosner Feltham, is your hand up? Oh, it's showing up on the Zoom. Okay. Okay. Megan, your advisory vote on this.
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay. I don't know why I can't count. 6. Okay. Oh, your hand keeps going up on Zoom. Okay, and then Board Member Muldrow is recusing. All right, thank you. All right, other reports to the board. For the City County Schools Collaborative Committee, the committee did not meet in April. Our next meeting is scheduled for May 7th, 2025. And when we decide our committee assignments for 25, 26, we'll figure out who the new board member will be for that committee. This is the City County Schools Collaborative Committee. All right, Student Senate.
Yeah, so it's been a busy couple weeks for Student Senate. So we've had 2 meetings, and then we also hosted a wellness fair at Holtzman a little while ago with attendees from various high schools. Students were able to learn about different aspects of mental health, along with addressing some concerns that they've seen at their schools, and then taking back an action plan to educate their peers about mental health resources that they can access within their schools or within their communities. We met on April 2nd and went over election information and committee time to plan for that wellness fair. And then again on April 16th, we had a guest speaker, Annie Johnston, and then kind of went over election information again. I also have the finalized candidates for Student Senate President and the next Board of Education representative. So for Student Senate President, Lily Shapiro and Lena Cox. And then for Board of Education representative, Claire Lee. That is all I have for my report.
Very nice. Megan, by the way, I was at the Superintendent's Wellness Advisory Committee last week as representing the board, and your good work and all the work around the wellness fair was talked about in that space. So thank you for taking that on. All right, our next committee report is Madison School and Community Recreation, or MSCR Advisory.
That's me. The sort of big, I don't know if it's the biggest news. Something I'm excited to tell you about is that the advisory committee welcomed 9 new members to our committee this month. So that's a huge add. Really, really exciting. Is going to mean a lot of exciting work with the new committee members, as well as more veteran committee members. Otherwise, MSCR spring sports are underway with middle school flag football games every Monday and Wednesday night, and over 1,200 players in spring soccer leagues that began this weekend, actually. Maybe you saw people out playing. I know I sure did. MSCR staff is continuing to hire for summer, and we're busy planning training for roughly 900 staff who will work in summer programs this year.
The next report is from the Policy Committee.
Yes, so we approved some of the policies that we worked on in April. One particular one, we are looking back with the mileage reimbursements. We're working back with the handbook committee on that. So that was something that we reviewed previously, but wanted just to state that. In May, we have some policies slated for both the instruction work group as well as operations work group, and we will have our special meeting, policy meeting in May as well. May will be a very busy time, and we have a lot of policies to come back to us.
Lastly is the Board Governance Committee. The committee has not met, although there were some follow-up items from the last board retreat that we will be bringing back to May around board governance. And so we have a couple of board members, Vice President Pearson, myself, and Board Member Muldrow, who are going to be bringing back to the board retreat some various options for us to consider with next steps relative to board governance. And then again, this is another committee with board member or former board member Laura Simpkins stepping off that we will put on the list of committees to assign. All right, in our other business, we have a Juneteenth district holiday memo. And it comes with a motion. I move that the Board of Education approve the adoption of Juneteenth as the paid holiday for MMSD employees. This action demonstrates the district's commitment to recognizing significant historical events and promoting equity within our policies. To formalize this change, it is also recommended that language be added to the MMSD employee handbook to reflect the inclusion of Juneteenth as a paid holiday.
I am proud to second that.
All right, any discussion or questions? All right, seeing it. Oh, Board Member Muldrow.
I greatly appreciate that we are recognizing Juneteenth as a district, and my hope is that we are including relevant education on Juneteenth in our classrooms. I think it is tremendously exciting to celebrate this holiday. I think it is even more exciting to make sure our students know why we celebrate this holiday.
Thank you. All right. Not hearing any questions. So Megan, your advisory vote.
Aye.
All right. All those in favor of the Juneteenth holiday becoming a paid holiday. All right. All right. We are unanimous on that. We have no other old or new business, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
We are adjourned.